Welcome to Edge Studio 30 Live. I'm John Dioso, editor of Edge Studio 30. Today we're going to discuss DTC customer acquisition strategies beyond search and social. By necessity, challenger and direct-to-consumer brands have established their businesses and grabbed market share by embracing outside-the-box strategies, such as quirky out-of-home takeovers and relatively new media like podcasts. As large retailers fight to regain market share by borrowing from the DTC playbook, the next stage of evolution for challenger brands' customer acquisition strategy is the most cutting-edge technology available, AI deep learning. Joining me are top execs from three of the most interesting challenger brands today. Andrea Collins, VP of Marketing at Hippo Insurance, Bunny Katora, co-founder and Chief Operating Officer of Blume, and Aaron Magnus, the Chief Marketing Officer at Thistle. Welcome, Aaron, Andrea, and Bunny.
Thanks for having us today, John.
All right, we're waiting on Bunny, but in the meantime, I think what we can do is, I just want to thank you everybody out there for watching. Thank you for joining us, and please just drop us a note and tell us where in the world you are so we can give you a shout out. Let's see. Still waiting for Bunny to come in, but we can start with you guys. How about before we get started, let's start with, I'd like to just go around the table and then Bunny can join us in progress and have each of you tell us a little bit about your company and what your current tech stack looks like. Let's start with Andrea.
Of course. Yeah, so Hippo is a home insurance company, and we're actually focused on protecting the joy of home ownership. So we look at insurance in a very different way. Essentially, we're transforming the industry with a proactive approach to home insurance, and that really focuses on the homeowner. We're providing the homeowner with the world's first home protection platform, and that comes to life in a variety of different ways, but most importantly, through smart home devices, so people are educating themselves about what's going on in their home, through home maintenance tools and services, and really just defines a partnership that helps homeowners care for their space and their properties, which of course have become even more important to us over the last 20 months, all spending a lot more time at home. And it's been a fast, high growth company over the last 4 years. We just went public about a month and a half ago on the New York Stock Exchange, and that's been a whole new journey. Our tech stack is built around the vision of the future of home ownership. So we leverage advanced technology and machine learning to provide modern tools that help alert homeowners to issues in their area or on their property, or we proactively go in and fix those issues. That's either an issue with their policy or an issue with the property itself. We leverage AI and machine learning partners that help us drive clarity and seamless transactions. So there's data integrations up front within the purchase process and obviously throughout the life cycle of the policy.
Great, thanks. And Bunny is with us. Thank you, Bunny. How sorry things are. I think you're muted there. Can you unmute yourself? Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's no problem. Is it the Canadians trying to keep you from speaking to us? Is that what's happening right now?
It is. It's the bad Wi-Fi, but happy to be here. Quick intro. So my name is Bunny. I'm one of the co-founders of Blume. We're the skincare, self-care, and body care product brand. And really our tech stack involves a lot of the products that you would use with Shopify. So the subscription add-ons like Recharge, the SMS and email add-ons like PostScript and Klaviyo, as well as Shopify as our actual website host. So yeah.
Well, welcome. So glad to have you join us. And how about you, Aaron? Let's round out the introductions and tell us a little bit about your tech stack over at Thistle.
Great. I'm Aaron Magnus, Chief Marketing Officer at Thistle. At Thistle, we make it easy to get and stay healthy while improving the sustainability of our food system. And, the big focus, we lead on taste. We're a plant-based, plant-forward diet. We really believe that's got to be the future of the planet if we want to live in this and sustain this planet. We lead with taste so that it really helps people not have to think about it, not have to worry about, can I, live a fun plant-based lifestyle. For us, from a tech stack, similar, we follow the DTC playbook. Uniqueness on us, we're not, a Shopify brand that just has a bunch of plugins. We do also do tons of custom work, internally to make sure that we can provide the very best experience for our customers.
Great, thank you. And next, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get into how each of your customer acquisition strategies have changed over the past 2 years. What challenges did you encounter and how have you overcome them? But we can't talk about the past 2 years without confronting the enormous disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And perhaps the best place to start is with the insurance company on our panel. So, Andrea, let's start with you. Just give us a taste of how the pandemic changed Hippo's business and how you met those challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit on insurance, obviously changed quite a bit over these last couple of years. But home insurance specifically, we're focused just on the home. And so how people live in their homes and the lifestyles that they're leading here are so different. I'm working from home today, as I know many of us are. And even that has changed how insurers have to think about the property. So on the marketing side, I think that the pandemic served really as a great equalizer between legacy and challenger brands. In a lot of ways, we really had to redefine our customer set and messaging in a new era, particularly with those of us who target homeowners like myself at a really rapid pace. And so that gave us all the opportunity to relearn many of the marketing tactics and approaches that we were using and dive back in. So for us, it reinforced our commitment to the customer. We had to evolve as our customers evolved and how they actually used our product evolved. And redefining how to capture those leads was a challenge and really interesting. But honestly, we ended up leveraging the same multi-channel strategy. We just built it differently with different messages over time. And then one big piece that came out of the pandemic for us was constant surveying of our customers. So we found that most homeowners really struggled to maintain their homes. And most of them wanted to learn and even add value to their homes, right? Creating an actual space to work from, those types of things. So we launched products specifically to meet those customer needs during the pandemic. We launched like a virtual, we called it telemaintenance, but a virtual home care service in the palm of your hand so that you could connect to a home pro professional and try and fix things yourself that you found problematic in your home. And we launched that to all Americans, regardless of customer, whether they were customers or not. So those types of things became acquisition strategies, but really were built out of the idea of customer experience and betterment for homeowners.
I mean, there really is that need for, even from before the pandemic, but especially since the pandemic, that need for like constant communication and connection with your customer base and potential customer base. Let's throw it to Bunny. Bunny, Blume is all about self-care. So did the pandemic expand what your brand means to its current customer base and what products and services you offer?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, when the pandemic first hit, and even today, the concept of self-care has changed so much, where for so many people, self-care looks so different, and it wasn't always related to being home and taking care of yourself, but then we were forced to do those things. And then there was also an expectation of, what self-care should look like. And there's people, I think, specifically in the younger demographics who are on social media showing this like beautiful example of what taking care of yourself means like. And that wasn't the case for everybody. So for us, we really just tried to add value through free content to our community. And like Andrea said, those are the things that then turned into acquisition strategies just by building brand love. So we did meditation Mondays on our Instagram. We did like live first paint with an artist, and just a variety of things for people to be able to either tune into and create community digitally or be able to do on their own time at home. But we were really just giving them some ideas or journal prompts to do those things by themselves. And I think, in some ways we were lucky being a self-care brand. We were already all about doing these things at home, but even still those strategies had to change when the pandemic first hit. And now as we are navigating, staying home all the time to being partially back into real life, to being a mix of both, everybody feeling differently about that experience.
And Aaron, you could easily argue that Thistle also focuses on self-care, but from the food and nutrition perspective, as you said. What insights did the challenges of the past year provide Thistle, and what new products and initiatives grew out of them?
Yeah, without a doubt, we're squarely in the health and wellness space. I'd say, we all try to find ways that we are uniquely positioned to be able to help our customers. And for us, some things that really bubbled up, particularly earlier in the pandemic, as everything was closed. People are looking to food as comfort, but they still wanted the same inspiration. They still wanted the same amazing quality that they were getting at restaurants. They still wanted, the same adventure in food. So we really try to put that at the forefront of what we talked about and why, Thistle is uniquely positioned to be able to take advantage of, those interests and people wanting, more from their daily diet. You had a bunch of people that were all of a sudden thrust to, cooking and eating at home, and they were becoming bored. So we were able to, through our constant freshness and, global menu, continue to maintain relevancy for them. And then another thing that we realized, as everyone's talking about, people started wondering, they need help dealing with, all these things, and that they didn't really have to focus on historically. And in the health and nutrition space, people are looking for help on, well, how can I improve or change the way I eat to actually have a bigger impact on myself and on the planet. So we actually launched a registered dietitian and nutritional coaching program for all new customers. So when you do come on board, you're set up for success, and you know that you're getting all your proteins and you're getting the right nutrients. And you're eating a robust and exciting diet plan, and that really helped us provide greater value to our customer base. And I think that's a challenge of all of us marketers. How do you continue to find ways to provide additional value to your customers, which leads to retention and loyalty?
All right, next I want to focus on cutting edge tech solutions to help with customer acquisitions. But first, show of hands, which of you are currently using AI or deep learning to help with customer acquisition?
From a partner perspective, yes, not
There you
necessarily
go.
internally.
How about you, Andrea? No? All right, so when we start with that, what I'd like to get, so Aaron, even from a partner's perspective, I'd love to, and just to share with our audience and with Andrea and Bunny as well, how has it helped you acquire new customers, and what attracted you to adopt this deep learning strategy, and what marketing benefits do you think it offers compared with other technologies in the marketplace, and what are you most interested in using it for?
Right. I'd say from the buy side, on the brand side, we're constantly pitched by new potential partners that they're going to, reduce CPAs, they're going to increase conversion rate, we're going to do all these things. And we all know that most of that is not real, right? But we are always looking for ways, how can we intelligently approach the way we think about new customer acquisition? When you know that from a bidding strategy, just to break it down, not all customers are created equal. So how can you adjust bids along the way and creative to make sure you're putting your best foot forward for that specific customer versus broad segments? So I think finding partners that can create these opportunities will really help more or less target and segment the way you talk about your offering for your potential customers.
And for those of you who didn't, who are not yet using AI for customer acquisitioning, what is why not? Is it something that's too new, or what criteria have to be met before you would consider implementing it? Andrea, can you go first?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think within insurance marketing, and particularly within home insurance, obviously we're in a heavily regulated market. And we see AI generally within the UA side as an overloaded term. We look at data integration really as our bread and butter for UA. So there's a lot of great data sets on properties and homeowners that give us really great insight. And, balancing our customer base is deeply important to us, not only as the overall business from a loss ratio perspective on the insurance side, but obviously holistically through a multi-channel approach, just trying to get the right mix of customers for stronger lifetime value. So we support a lot of our UA through deep segmentation work, and that's empowered through third-party data partners. But we haven't layered AI into it, in part because the AI that we use on the customer experience side serves a great purpose for the homes themselves, but we would never use it on kind of individual customer base. But on the user acquisition side, I just think insurance in general has enough from the data partners and integrations to not need AI quite yet.
What about you, Bunny? What about with Blume? I mean, has it been a consideration? Has it been discussions with any of your tech partners, or with even within your internal tech team?
Yeah, I think generally for us, when we're thinking about, new customers and who our customers are, we really default to storytelling and community building. And learning about who our customers are by asking them, and then having them be really the evangelists of the brand who then go on and share and communicate the brand ethos and philosophy to other customers. And so, layering AI into that is just not somewhere we're at yet, where we're still really having that like one-on-one connection with our customers when we can. I think similar to what Aaron said, we do use a lot of the Facebook platforms or other kind of customer management platforms that rely heavily on AI, but we don't particularly layer any of that in ourselves. I think in the future, as the brand continues to grow and as we expand, it is something that we would probably do at some point, but we're pretty far away, and right now really just focusing on sharing the mission and the values of the brand and having that relate to customers.
Great. And if you're just joining us, this is Ad Age Studio 30 Live. I'm John Dioso, the editor of Ad Age Studio 30, and with me today are Aaron Magnus, the Chief Marketing Officer of Thistle, Andrea Collins, VP of Marketing at Hippo Insurance, and Bunny Katrora, the co-founder and Chief Operating Officer of Blume. And we're discussing D2C customer acquisition strategies beyond search and social. But before we get back to the conversation, I'd like to say hi to Christine from Virginia. Thank you so much for joining us. Gareth from the UK, and Scott and Vic from California. Thank you all so much for joining us. Let's get back to the question. So the other great disruption of the past year plus is customer data. With third-party cookies going away from Chrome and Apple deprecating IDFA from mobile, wide swaths of the entire ad tech ecosystem are either consumed with devising alternate solutions or honestly procrastinating until someone else comes up with a better system. Meanwhile, the walled gardens seem more like fortresses, and first-party data has become the must-have currency for marketers. What are some of the ways that data has driven your company's strategies this past year plus, and what data-driven opportunities are you pursuing going forward? Let's start with Bunny, and then we'll go to Aaron and then Andrea. Bunny?
Yeah, I think, again, when it comes to our data, it really is in surveying our customers. Now that we don't have, the same attribution we had to iOS 14 on Facebook ads, and we're losing even more of that with iOS 15, piecing together, where we found customers for, where our dollars are working and not working has become so much more challenging. So we're relying heavily right now on just asking our customers in post-purchase surveys and then continuing to segment over time, and essentially creating our own data set out of that and then reusing that as a customer acquisition. So it's been something that we've been working on. We've gone through so many spreadsheets of different models of trying to figure this out. And this has kind of been the one thing that's been working best for us, but it is continuing to be a challenge, and we're kind of learning it as we go as well.
What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, from our side, I think, and as marketing has changed over time, there's a big focus on third-party data, which obviously still has its place. But then first-party became so important, and make sure we're tracking everything that our customers or potential customers may be doing on our sites and experiences. But then really evolving into zero-party data and making sure we're asking our customers, things that are going to help improve their experience. And I think that's the key component. If they understand that there will be a value trade, we will improve your experience if we know these other things about you that are self-reported. That's going to help us provide a better overall experience. But I think the days of asking for data without providing value is going to be a challenge in the future. And I think that'll help us marketers and businesses, hopefully really step up and figure out ways to be more relevant and be more valuable for our customers.
And just to clarify for the viewers out there who don't know the difference between first-party and zero-party data, can you just explain exactly what zero-party is?
Yeah, I'll give you my interpretation, but from a first,
I'll give you mine.
You're tracking all the things that people are or aren't doing. But zero party, you're actually asking, and just we were talking about, whether it's an insurance or, self-care, what are the things, tell me about yourself, self-reported, just asking people the questions. A lot of us are relying a lot more on surveys these days. And then we can then append those answers and that information back to that account and that customer, which will then help us, again, be more relevant and understand more about that person and what gets them excited or could get them excited about the brand.
Yeah, and then just going back to what we said before about that deeper connection
Right.
With your customers. I mean, it literally is being very upfront. I mean, talk about all the privacy regulations going around and there not being any shenanigans about what you're doing with their data. It's literally going to your customers and saying, we want to talk to you about these specific things. Will you share? We will market these things to you. It's this very close one-on-one relationship. Andrea, do you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, and I do think that a lot of times people are really pleasantly surprised by how many customers are willing to actually work with you and talk with you. We've set up panels within our organization focused on specific segments, and get a lot out of those discussions and focus groups. And we have quarterly discussions, but we also double down when we have product launches and need specific feedback loops on new items or services. So I do think that zero-party data is going to play a bigger role across all of our jobs in the future. But to answer your initial question, we really leaned in pretty heavily to first-party data towards the top of this year. We share that data analysis and analysis across the entire organization and build the insights from each of the individual lines of business. So it tracks the customer experience as well as our impact on those customers. And then we drove partnerships with third-party data partners to kind of backfill some of those holes that we had. So we were talking about AI just a minute ago, but we integrated several new data partners like Cape Analytics for us, that they use AI on top of aerial imagery to identify property characteristics. So if somebody didn't tell us they have a pool, but they have a pool, we could say, hey, you might want liability insurance. Or if they have a new roof, we might say, hey, you get a discount on your roof. So there's new data partners that can help backfill where third-party data is, that I think is going to steer us away from a strong impact against some of the latest shifts on cookies, et cetera.
Right. And this went by really quickly. We have time for one more question. Before we go, I'd love to give you each the opportunity to share not just your takeaways from the past almost 2 years, but also to preview what's next for your company in the coming year. Feel free to break any news. So let's go back to you, Andrew. When we start with you, and then we'll go to Bunny, and we'll wrap up with Aaron.
Sure, of course. So I think probably over this last year, it's been really paramount for us to understand the customer needs and challenges. As I mentioned, we're in a space that the customer is evolving at a much more rapid pace than they had in years past, the homeowner. And digitalization within our space and within a lot of the financial services industry has been accelerated. So we were lucky to be at the forefront of that, and ran to lead the pack. But obviously that comes with a lot of challenges and opportunities ahead. So I think one of the key learnings from this year that I loved our pre-panel chat about was we have an omni-channel approach to our business as a whole. We use direct consumer, we use partnerships, and we use other insurance agents to sell our business. And we use the same ethos on the marketing side, right? We use a multi-channel approach. And I think it's so important and valuable to distribute not only your budget, but also your time and energy across various channels, because you can learn a ton more. And it also gave us a much better feedback loop on customer experience, because you gather information and insight from a variety of places. But we've been using our multi-channel approach to double down on education, data partnerships, and value-added benefits like smart home devices and home maintenance. But we're going to be doing a lot more of that in coming years, as well as bringing our tools and services to new platforms and audiences with some big brand campaigns and product launches in the next year.
Bunny, what about you?
Yeah, I think similarly, this year taught us so much about customers that our customers need. And I think, in addition being a D2C brand, there's a lot of social impact related things that did happen over the last year and a half, in addition to the pandemic. So as we look forward, we're really just looking at more ways to connect with community, both IRL and digitally, as things continue to change. And then we have a whole bunch of product launches that we're preparing to launch, and just going deeper with, like Andrea said, we're also omni-channel. So just going deeper with our omni-channel partners and focusing a lot on retail as the world begins to open up and people begin shopping online again, and really fulfilling that crave for being around people.
And Aaron?
I think, there's been a long time talk about data. And I think over the last, year plus, focus on clean data is a big component. I think with that and understanding, we talked about, omni-channel, but yeah, marketing diversification, being overly reliant on any single partner, I think is a big challenge. And I think we're seeing that diversification move a lot. But I think the most important thing is, going through this, and, Andrea and Bunny both just touched on it, like, there was a lot of talk historically about, sessions and traffic and clicks, and I think we've all really understood, no, these are real people with real lives, real needs, real wants, and as brands, it's our responsibility to show up, to listen, to be present, and do that in a truly meaningful way, in a real authentic way. So I think, the respect of the consumer as a person, I think, is something that hopefully we're back to and really here to stay with.
Well, that's unfortunately all the time we have today. Thank you so much for a great conversation. Thank you, Bunny Couture, co-founder and CEO of Blume, Aaron Magnus, CMO of Thistle, Andrew Collins, VP of Marketing at Hippo Insurance. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Also, and thanks also to our partners at Cognitiv for presenting this edition of Ad Age Studio 30 Live. And most of all, thank you to everybody out there for joining us. For Ad Age Studio 30 Live, I'm John Dioso. Bye.